Hi, imagine you were a 13-year-old kid again. You're in middle school. It's a time that's already awkward and confusing. You walk into class and sit down, trying to ignore the whispers. Then your phone buzzes. You take a look. It's a message from someone that you thought was your friend telling you about how ugly you look today. It's mean and it's hurtful. And it follows you around from class to lunch, and not just when you're looking directly at your phone. There's no escaping it. This is cyberbullying, and it affects nearly half of all American teens today. A study posted by the National Library of Medicine by Cherise Nixon says that cyberbullying is connected to lowered self-esteem, frustration, anger, loneliness, even thoughts of suicide among youth. Long term, it correlates with school problems, substance abuse, and delinquent behaviors for kids that experience it. Perpetrators of cyberbullying are more likely to report increased substance abuse, aggression, and delinquent behaviors. These are not just statistics, these are children's lives. As a father of a 13-year-old girl and an 11-year-old girl, I have seen this unfold firsthand. I've seen the look in their eyes when they read something mean online, and I have felt powerless to protect them. This is why I stand here today. There need to be federal laws in place to combat cyberbullying. Today, I will talk to you about what cyberbullying is, how common it is, the severe effects it has on our kids, and how federal laws can make a real difference in protecting them. Let's start by understanding what cyberbullying is and how common it really is. UNICEF, an organization that protects children's lives and safeguards their futures, says that cyberbullying is harassment that uses digital technology. It can take place on social media, messaging platforms, gaming platforms, and on mobile devices. It is repeated behavior aimed at scaring, angering, or sharing someone who is targeted. Cyberbullying isn't a one-off insult online. It's harassment that uses digital technology. This can be everything from sharing threatening messages, sharing embarrassing or harmful images, spreading lies, impersonating someone online, or even using generative AI to shame someone. A 2022 survey by the Pew Research Center found that 46% of all U.S. teens had experienced at least one form of cyberbullying, such as name-calling or harassment. Within that group, 28% experienced multiple forms of cyberbullying. These behaviors aren't rare, they're common. Knowing how frequently this happens helps us realize that this isn't just kids being kids. This is a widespread problem in our society, and it demands our attention. Cyberbullying isn't just hurtful words on a screen. It has serious emotional and psychological consequences. Research published by the JAMA Pediatrics shows that cyberbullying is associated with increased levels of depression, anger, frustration, and distress among young people. The nature of digital communication, which is public, permanent, and easily shared, means that harmful content can follow a child everywhere, making healing that much harder. The Pew Research Institute also found that some teens showed traumatic symptoms similar to post-traumatic stress disorder after repeated harassment online. These experiences don't just affect kids momentarily. They can negatively influence academic performance, social development, and have long-term mental health consequences. Cyberbullying creates a climate of fear for kids. They worry about what might show up on their phones next, and that anxiety doesn't go away at the end of the school day. Now, you might be thinking that isn't this just kids being mean online, or aren't parents and educators responsible enough to fight this without more federal laws. But the data shows that cyberbullying isn't trivial or occasional. It affects, like I said, it affects nearly half of all American teens and has serious mental health issues. And because the internet crosses state lines, what happens online in one place affects children everywhere. Parents and schools alone don't have the tools or authority to enforce consistent protections nationwide. What we need is a federal legal framework so that all children, regardless of where they live, have legal protections and pathways to safety and healing. Right now, how cyberbullying is treated varies drastically from state to state. Some states include cyberbullying in their anti-bullying legislation, and others do not. This kind of patchwork leaves severe gaps in protections and enforcement. Federal laws could establish clearly defined cyberbullying behaviors, uniform consequences across the country, requirements for digital platforms to implement better safety tools and reporting systems, support for schools and families to educate, prevent, and respond to incidences, and funding for mental health services for victims. Instead of every school district or state fighting its own battle, federal laws could ensure children have equal protection and support no matter where they live. When you want your child protected, not just in their hometown, but wherever they go in life. Cyberbullying is a widespread problem. Like I said, it affects nearly half of all American teens and takes a real emotional toll. Cyberbullying causes psychological harm. Victims can experience depression, anxiety, and have lasting trauma. And current laws are inconsistent and incomplete. Without federal standards, many children fall through the cracks. So today, I ask you to take action. Support efforts to pass federal legislation that defines cyberbullying, holds perpetrators accountable, ensures safer online spaces, and provides support for victims. Because if we don't act now, our children will continue facing emotional harm with unequal protections from state to state. But if we do act, if we stand together for consistent federal laws, we can create a safer digital world for our kids, a world where they can grow, connect, and thrive without the fear of harassment following them everywhere. Thank you.